Bear Theater is doing measure for measure, right? And you have actually changed the time and the place from the original. Tell us about those decisions.
It's funny, we joke sometimes that it would be a real challenge and a real surprise if we actually did Shakespeare the way it's traditionally thought of, with the stockings and all that. For Measure, we decided to set it in 1920s Paris, and the reason we made that decision was because one of the themes of the play is about the prisons and the restraints that we put on ourselves, and also how as human beings we're constantly striving to break free of those bonds. 1920s Paris was a time when artists and writers were flocking to the city, leaving the areas where there was more repression or they were not allowed to express themselves and discover themselves. Pardon me for looking at my notes here. I want to make sure I sound really intelligent here. And so that's one of the reasons we picked that setting, because we wanted to really explore that kind of freedom that existed in Paris, and also look and explore the idea of what happens when authority steps in and says, you can't do that, tries to restrict you or repress your thoughts and your opinions.
Why do you think this one is performed so rarely?
Well, I think one of the reasons is what you touched on about it being a problem play. It's not, you think of Shakespeare comedies like As You Like It and Comedy of Errors, and you can expect there to be mistaken identities, maybe twins, there'll be a marriage, maybe two marriages at the end. You think of a drama like King Lear, or I hope I don't spoil anything, but Romeo and Juliet, and it's probably going to end in tragedy. Not just for the title characters, but for everyone else. Measure for Measure doesn't really fall into either one of those boxes. I'll just speak personally. My first exposure to Shakespeare was in high school, like I think it was for a lot of people. And it was boring, and I was like, what is this guy writing? And I didn't have any interest in it. It didn't engage me on the page. As I became an actor, I stayed clear of Shakespeare for the longest time because it was intimidating, and I was too dumb. I wasn't going to get it. And it took seeing some really good productions and realizing that I get this. If it's done well, it sounds like the modern tongue. It's brilliant. Why does Shakespeare plays thrive today? It's because he wrote about the human condition, and for what it's worth, 400 years later, we're still pretty much the same as we were back then. We still hate, we still love, we have all those emotions, and I'm passionately in love with the guy now, and I wish I had discovered him earlier, and that's what we try to do with these productions, is we try to get people engaged in them.